With Halloween coming up in just a week, some people have the question as to whether it's appropriate for Catholics to engage in the celebration of Halloween. And a simple answer to that is yes, because at its heart and at its origin, Halloween is essentially a Christian celebration. How exactly is that? It is on the eve of the Feast of All Saints, which is also known as the Feast of All Hallows. And so Halloween was once referred to as All Hallows Eve, and a derivative of that is Halloween. And so in many ways it's a vigil of sorts prior to the celebration of the triumph of Christ manifested in the lives of those we celebrate as his saints. Now, to those who are of perhaps a superstitious mindset, there was a time when, on the eve of All Hallows, it was understood that the evil spirits of the world would engage in a last hurrah or a last stand, a Mardi Gras of sorts the night before such holiness is celebrated. And to those who are superstitious, it would be instinctive to hide or to lock oneself in one's home, pray to ward off those spirits. But for people of a solid, strong faith in the triumph of Christ for all time, in which we know that evil would never succeed or be dominant on any night of the year, let alone the night before such an important feast, we respond with much more confidence in the triumph of Christ, not to hide from any alleged evil spirits that might be present, but to show that we are not afraid of them because the triumph of Christ has overcome them. And so the practice began over the centuries, not to hide from evil, but to dress up as those evil spirits, skeletons, ghosts, goblins, witches, and so on, and to dance and prance around in a way that would make it comical, not fearful. When one hears a knock on the door and sees the evil spirits, it would be in fact children dressing up as those evil spirits, dancing and performing tricks and receiving candy. Over time, Halloween, however, has become much more a Mardi Gras of sorts. Just as we celebrate Mardi Gras before we begin the 40 days of Lent, we have parties and celebrations of feasting and food and games and costumes that go beyond witches and goblins and ghosts. It comes to princesses and knights in armor, Robin Hood and Ilsa, to name just a few. And it becomes a night of partying and festivities before we celebrate the Feast of All Saints. However, for some, it is also a night to keep vigil. In some cultures, it is customary to keep a vigil at the grave of loved ones, individual loved ones, important to us, before we celebrate a more general feast of the saints, the specific people who the Church honors as examples of holiness, and concluding on the day after All Saints' Day, in which we remember and commemorate all the faithful departed, not just our loved ones, but all those who have gone before us in death. So whether one celebrates Halloween is merely a matter of taste, but to not be concerned with the celebration of Halloween as Christian people, because it is essentially a product of Christianity, in which we keep vigil before celebrating the Feast of All Saints, and in any notion of evil or the occult or of ghosts and goblins, the celebration of Halloween stems from a disposition in which we are so confident in the victory of Christ that such a power of evil is to us funny, a mockery, and nothing we can take seriously, because ultimately nothing can overcome the victory of Christ, which we will celebrate as manifested in the saints on the Feast of All Hallows, on the Feast of All Saints.